Yo, what's up? This is Splendid Radio on Far Side TV. My co-host Jeremy Scipio, he had to go and hit a stage tonight, but I ain't even tripping off that. We got OG West Coast pop locker, Kool Boy. What's up, man?
What's pop locking with it?
Oh man, I really appreciate you tapping in. Usually most people that I interview, I've known them for a while, and so I can go into this long buildup of just like the history and all this and that. But I will give a little history on how I came across you. Basically, I had gotten to this whole watching pop locking thing on YouTube maybe about 2 years ago or so. And I would go to Pop and Taco and like these older guys. As a matter of fact, I was up in the Bay Area at Hyro Day from the group Hieroglyphics, and this dude walked up. I was selling Far Side stuff, and I got my own little clothing line. I was skateboards or whatever. The group was performing, but I had a booth. And next to me, this older white dude comes up, and he's kind of finger popping, and I was like, he holding back. So I started recording. And then he never really got loose with it, but it's a trip because after that, I saw that he was OG Mike. I saw him on you, like he did something that went viral on YouTube, and I was like, dang. And it was a trip because he was like an older white dude. He was dancing, and it looked like he was kind of clowning, but you could see there was some technical skill behind what he was doing. He wasn't, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't just doing whatever. And so then, from me peeping the poppin' tacos to the OG mics, me getting more into some kind of within the last 15 years West Coast pop locking, I ran across your videos on YouTube. And then from that, I followed you on Instagram maybe about like 8 months ago, 7 months or something like that. And I was really drawn into it because I was like, okay, this dude gets his groove on, but at the same time, he instills like all the cool stuff from the hood. Like he has a boxing gym, you know what I'm saying? He gets his groove on, he has a boxing gym. He's got low riders when he throws little functions and whatnot, very family oriented. You know what I'm saying? You got you come out with your little low, with your low on them. You know what I'm saying? And it was whether I interviewed you or not, I was gonna reach out to you anyway, because it's like, man, I'm all about supporting people trying to make a difference. You know what I'm saying? I'm very big on mentorship. You know what I'm saying? And just like each one teach one. You know what I'm saying? You don't know who you're gonna touch and how that's gonna affect them. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. So anyway, I don't know you from Adam. We had one great phone conversation that was too much. I had to tap out. I was like, man, he gave me the interview, man. It was too much for my mind to process. But with that being said, man, it is a pleasure you coming on, and we're about to get into a discussion, and we're gonna take it a couple places. So, what city did you grow up in?
I grew up in 3 different cities.
Okay.
Let me break that down for you. But first, let me tell you what cities they are. You have Linwood, Compton, and Hawthorne.
Okay.
Now, I went to elementary school in Linwood, California.
Okay.
On the borderline of a hood called the Mob and some other Crip neighborhood, Linwood neighborhood or something like that. And this is where Suge Knight and all them guys was from, right there in the Mob. Now, Linwood is practically right next door to Compton. So at one point, my family moved from Linwood right across the street to Compton. So now I'm walking from Compton to Linwood to get to school. Mm-hmm. So that's how Linwood and Compton played both parts of me growing up. Now, my father lived in Hawthorne. And there was a point in time where I was like, you know what? I want to go stay with Pops for a while. And I moved to Hawthorne. Mm-hmm. So this is why I represent all 3 cities, Linwood, Compton, and Hawthorne.
Okay. Nah, that's tight. That's tight. So when was the first? So basically, the format of the show. My co-host, he's a comedian. He had to hit a stage tonight, so he's doing his thing. But I always bring some comedy into the situation. I always bring some hip hop into the situation because I feel like even if you wasn't a pop locker, if I was interviewing a ballet dancer, I'd probably ask her about hip hop if she was within the age range or whatnot. So, with you, when was the first time you heard hip hop?
When is the first time I heard hip hop or the term hip hop?
When you heard the music.
Whoa, that's a deep question, man. When I first heard hip hop, I didn't know it was called hip hop.
Okay.
So I heard something and was digging the hell out of something before I knew what it was called. And that was that song, Rapper's Delight.
Everybody,
Yeah.
I would say out of 20 people, 15 will say Rapper's Delight.
It's the first song I heard, man, because my era, my generation was there when hip hop started. So if you're referring to those who, if they say that song, that's because they must be around my age.
Okay.
Maybe someone younger is probably going to pick a song much newer than that. They probably don't even know what Rapper Delight is. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, I've excuse me, because y'all. I've had people tell me. I had a girl tell me. One person said, I want to say
MC Hammer.
No,
you know,
Nelly. I want to say like Nelly or something like that, or like it was like something in the 90s. Like I have interviewed some people that'll come with the 90s, and I'm like, dang, that's a trip. But so it was Rapper's Delight. So how'd you get the name Kool Boy?
Kool Boy. My real name, Kool Boy, comes from inside of my real name.
Okay.
My real name, man, it's a beautiful name. And it has to be pronounced romantically. only allow women to say my real name. So don't repeat my name. So it's Jacoli, spelled with a Z. My real name is Jacoli. If you break that name down, because as a kid, kids struggle to say names that's big like that. Mm-hmm. So they have to cut it in half. So they started calling me Coley. Instead of the full name, Jacoli, they started calling me Coley. Then one of my homeboys one day just said, he screwed up and he didn't say Coley. One day he said Cooley. Mm-hmm. He said Cooley. He kept messing up. He couldn't say Coley, right? He kept saying Cooley, Cooley. And then one day he just said cool. You see how it's breaking down?
Yeah.
He went from Cooley to cool. Then I started gang banging, so they added the boy on.
Okay.
It became Kool Boy. And that's how I got that name, man. By my name being broken down.
See, I gotta stop being so hard on people, man. Your name came up at the beginning of the Zoom, the Zoom conversation, and I was like, man, he's probably using somebody's Zoom account or something like that, man. Should I tell him? Should I not tell him? Whatever. And then the name disappeared.
No, that's me, homie.
See, that's why me. That's why you can't assume.
That's a unique name. It's different, and it means peace.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what's the difference between popping and locking?
Well, popping is a dance that's put together partial from locking.
Okay.
Popping is a dance where two dancers came together and formed popping, which is locking is one of the element dances and the robot. You know, you bring those two dancers together and you got popping.
Okay.
So that's the difference. Locking is full. There's no dime stopping.
Okay.
It's loose. You're all over the place. Boom, I can move over here. Boom, I'm over here. Boom, I'm you know, there's no dime stop. I got swag. Boom, wow, boom, bah, boom, bam, you know. Then you got the robot. where you, boom, you're limited on how loose you can move. Boom, you're here. Boom. You know, everything is in here in dime stopping. Bam, bam, boom, boom, boom. You know, everything is dime stopping. You mix the robot with that locking, and you got bam, bam. I'm moving like a robot still, but now I'm loose at the same time. Boom, bam. And so now you got the popping. Boom, 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 which I call pop locking, homie. Hey, hey.
That's right. You know something that was genius, and I didn't even think about it until last weekend. I was thinking about the interview. I reached out to you a week ago or so, and then I hit you back to just make sure everything was cool. But after we had our conversation, I was thinking about Rerun, and it was genius for what's happening to have a character in it who was a famous locker, and every once in a while they let him get loose. You know what I'm saying? They let him get loose, and that was on primetime TV.
They had to. They had to, homie. Just like today, when you have a sitcom, you have to do what's hot. You know, the current events, what's trending. Just like today, even on TikTok, you got what's trending, what's trending, what's trending. Well, back in the 70s, which when What's Happening was out, locking was the hottest thing out. That's what was trending. So they had to have a show because their show was about Black culture, Black family. So if they're going to talk about Black culture, they got to keep it real. Locking played a big part of that, especially during that part of the decade of the 70s. Locking was big. So they had to do it if they wanted the eyes to be, you know, the viewers to be revealing. They wanted to be revealing to the viewers and get them to gravitate to this show. They had to keep it real. You know, like today, if we do something today, it's going to have to be based on whatever's trending today, TikTok or Drake or whatever the hell it is. You know what I'm saying?
Hey man, I get it. I get it. So what is boogalooing and what's the origin of boogaloo?
Boogaloo, that comes from the Bay Area. Meaning there is a beginning point with this dance. And where the beginning point is, there's beginning points in Los Angeles, and then there's beginning points in the Bay Area. You know, and Boogaloo, they call it the BRS movement, Boogaloo Robot and Strut. That style comes from the Bay Area. LA has nothing to do with that. Of course, Boogaloo came to us, but as far as creating it, Southern California, the Southland has nothing to do as far as creating that style. That props all goes to the Bay Area. Now, if you want to go deeper into that, Boogaloo, they can have that. That's theirs. But locking comes from the Southland. So when they want to talk about who created what and where things started, well, okay, yeah, you guys was boogalooing out there. But in Watts, California, in LA, we were locking. So when it comes to they saying, hey, man, who created this dance? Well, to me, it was a mixture of both ends of Cali. Southern Cali came together with Northern Cali, and we mixed stuff together, and boom, a dance was created. Now, for some reason, the Bay Area gets 100% all the props of creating this dance, which is called popping or boogaloo. Okay. Which to me, I struggle to understand that when when locking plays a big part of this dance, which was created in the Southland by a guy named Don Camelot, who was on Soul Train. Boom. Dude. And the way he created it, they were doing a dance called the Funky Chicken. And he couldn't get it right. He couldn't get the Funky Chicken right. And he ended up creating his own dance. And it was called, and it actually wasn't called locking first. It was called the Camelot. But that's how it got started, the locking.
it's interesting that you say that, because as you said it, the picture came to my mind of Don Cornelius when he was talking to some dancers, and one of the dudes was he did the creep, and then one did the boogaloo, and they were all kind of breaking down the different dances and whatnot. And the guy who you're talking about was probably amongst the cats who he was talking to, back then. So, okay. So then from there, how were you when you took dancing serious?
How old was I when I took it serious?
Uh-huh.
Well, it depends on what you consider serious. Because the day I was introduced to it, I was serious. Because it touched my soul, it touched my heart, and that's serious. So when you say serious, are you meaning on a level of making money with it, doing it for a career, or serious where I want to start battling? What do you mean by serious? Because the day it touched me, that was serious.
Standing in your mirror and popping and looking at yourself in the mirror like, "Ooh, I'm about to get him."
Man, that comes with ego, because I wanted to be like the bigger homie so bad immediately. So when I first saw this dance, and I was possessed by it. I wanted it. It just took over me. I had no control. It was like, wasn't even nothing to think about, homie. As soon as I saw it, I was like, that's me. This is me. It wasn't one of those things where, oh man, do I want to learn this, or should I start trying to give this a shot and all that? As soon as I saw it, bam, it got me.
Mm-hmm.
And from that point on, I was on top of it. I wanted to learn it. I was watching everything. And the first thing, man, I started learning was a move. It was a Scarecrow move. And the movement was done, I would take my arms and drop them. And then I would go like this, boom, boom. And then I would keep going across the floor. And it was done more like, it was like this, bam. And I would keep going across the floor. That was the first move I learned. And I kept doing it. Then I just started picking up on other dances, man. And I started watching other people dance. And then I got focused on what really turned me out, man, was a crew called the Electronic Puppets out of the east side of Compton. And this is going to show you why things make sense to why I am the way I am today. It was my mother. She used to get off of work, and my mother used to teach exercise classes, aerobics, right? At a studio called Exums, right? And I used to go with her. Sometimes I'll bring a little homie, but we'd jump in the back seat. I'm going with moms, right? And she would go down. We lived in Compton. She would go down to a spot called Exums. And this had to be like about 1980 or 81. And one particular time, man, she took me, and these 5 dudes walked in, and they looked at real hood, right? And they walked in, and my mom started walking right towards them to see what was happening. I was scared because I was little. I'm like, oh man, mom, no, you're bad, but you can't fuck with them. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh my God. My mom walked up to him, and I can't hear the conversation that was going on. But all I saw was my mother going like this to him. Hey, da, 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 da. And her last words when she finished was, and you guys got 20 minutes before my next class. And I'm like, I'm like figuring out what the hell is she talking about? Like, are these thug hooligans about to take aerobics? I'm like, I couldn't put it together what was happening. And she walked off, and they were very respectful, homie. They were like, yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. No problem. These 5 dudes lined up in formation and turned on the music. And when the music came on, only one of them moved. The rest of them stayed still, and one of them moved, and he stepped out of line. Boom, boom. They used to do what you call double popping. You got single pop, boom, boom, that's single, boom. And then you got double pop, where you da, 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 da. That was like the first, that was like the first style of pop locking, man, double popping, doom, doom. And then my young energy came along later on and started boom, 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 boom. Everything was single pop, boom. Double popping was too slow. But anyway, that dude stepped out of line. Bah, got to do. Bah, got to do. And my mouth dropped. My world changed, man.
Mm.
What they wanted to do is they asked my mom, can we use your mirrors so we can practice our routine? And I didn't realize I was watching a crew called the Electronic Puppets. Who was the creator of the crew is Anthony A.K. King, known as the King of Pop. So here I am, a little kid, watching these dudes for the first time, like, that's me. And I wanted to be that so bad, and that's what I became.
You were breaking down a story about Homeboy, and like I said, man, it was overloading my circuits, man. It was just too much information for me. We were already having and it's a trip because generally when I talk to people before we do the interview, I just like to get to know them a little bit and just go back and forth or whatever. But the information you had, I was like, dang, this is something that you would see on a BET, you know, behind the scenes or, whatever. So break down the king of pop and then break down his relationship with Michael Jackson and what.
The King of Pop, Anthony A.K. King from the east side of Compton. He used to go to, and it goes to show you how all this is related, man. He used to go to a place called the Eve After Dark, owned by Alonzo Williams from the World Class Wrecking Crew, who used to have Dr. Dre as a DJ down there. The World Class Wrecking Crew was Miss Chalet. You don't remember them?
No, come on, man. I know exactly what you're talking about. Dr. Dre.
Okay, so Anthony, back then, Alonzo Williams used to throw pop locking battles. Guess who used to come down there and win all of them? Anthony A.K. King. Okay. And that's how he became the king of pop, because can nobody touch him. Nobody can mess with him. You have cats coming from L.A., Gardena, Watts, Inglewood, Carson. Anthony King from the east side of Compton, boom, would take everybody out. Nobody can fade him. So he was in a crew called the Electronic Puppets. He wasn't the creator of the crew. I found out later, recently, I think it was Creeping Cliff or someone who created the crew. But
real quick, Creeping Cliff was on that Soul Train episode because Don Cornelius asked him, what's the dance you're doing? He's like, it's the creep.
No, that's not Creeping Cliff.
Okay.
So you're talking about the Electric Boogaloos.
Okay. Okay.
And that was, I believe his name is Creeping Sid.
You're right.
So Electric Boogaloos and the Electronic Puppets used to battle on the streets back in the day. But the Electric Boogaloos are the ones who made it to Soul Train and blew up and became big. The Electronic Puppets could have made it too. But Anthony King could beat all of them. Okay. None of them could touch him. So when Michael Jackson wanted to learn how to get out, he called real pop lockers to come teach him. And all of them kept saying, oh, Mike, you need to meet Anthony A.K. King, the king of pop. And Mike went, ooh, I like that name. I like that name, King of Pop. Next thing you know, Mike had King of Pop music. Now, a lot of people worked with Michael Jackson, man. Michael Chambers, Bruno, Casper. A lot of people worked with him, Robert Shields. But he took that term from Anthony A.K. King, the original King of Pop. Anthony A.K. King has a tattoo, King of Pop, on his forearm. before Michael Jackson even started saying that term.
Okay. Nah, that's tight. So when cats pop, they listen to, I guess they listen to rap, and then they listen to like the old school stuff like Nucleus and all that kind of stuff. So when you were in junior high school, what was your, if you had a iTunes library, what was your iTunes library in junior high?
Man, first of all, when I first started getting down, rap wasn't out yet. Pop locking goes with funk.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, a lot of pop lockers will tell you that pop locking is not hip hop, which I disagree. But I understand what they mean, because pop locking, look, this is the best way I can say it. And for those who are not too fast or slow, they're not going to catch on to what I'm saying. Before the glory of hip hop, there was pop lock. You get what I'm saying? Before the glory of hip hop, there was pop lock. Pop locking is the beginning stages of hip hop. It helped kicked it off. So pop locking is included in hip hop, but it was before hip hop. When I first was getting down, man, boom, boom, boom. I was shake your pants, shake, 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 shake. It was to that kind of music, not rap.
Yeah.
Later on, I started getting down to rap music. But back then, when I was a kid, so if you ask me what would be my playlist, look, the very first album, the little 45s, you remember you had the big records, was the 33, you had the little 45s. I had to. My very first album ever walked to the store down Long Beach Boulevard in the city of Compton to a record store called, I forgot the name of it, man. I was a little kid. I was 11 years old. I went and bought my first 45 by myself. I got the money from my mom. As soon as she got off of work, I told her, I got to have this song. Please give me the money. It was Do Why Diddy by Zach. So you want to blow? Do I just let me know? Do I Diddy blow that thing, baby? That was my jam. I was loving that, man. I begged my mom, please give me the money. She gave it to me. Boom. I shot down there, came back to the pad, and I played the hell out that album every day, all day long. Wore it out.
Hey,
and then we had another dance. It wasn't just pop locking, man. We had a dance called the Freak. The nasty that we used to do too. We used to have a freak line going in.
Man.
8 of us in the line getting down.
Blew my mind. Blew. I went to my cousin's party. My cousin had a party in Carson, over in DA, and they played Atomic Dog, and I was about maybe 12 or 13, and I saw I saw teenagers. It was teenagers. So I was a little younger than, I won't call 13 and necessarily a teenager, but I was, coming into my teens. But I saw the teenagers, and they were stuck. I mean, I breed dogs now, so I would say they were stuck like dogs, man. They wasn't having sex, but the grown-ups wasn't breaking them apart. And I was like, dang, what is this? You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, I danced with a girl, man. She had a Jerry curl, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, man.
Back then. And oh, man, for weeks, man, I thought about Atomic Dog and Freaking, man. I was like, ooh.
That's
so, with that being said, I'm going to ask you this question. Because I'm from Southern California, Boogaloo Shrimp was from Wilmington. I took, breaking was more dear to my heart personally, because I kind of related. And then the way they shot the movie, and then with Ice-T and just all that kind of stuff, I just related to that more. For you, if you had to pick one, well, I know you probably picked Beat Street, but because breaking kind of had both of them had a satirical spin to them. But if you had to pick Beat Street or Breaking, what would be your movie?
It's a good question, man. And I'm not making this difficult for you, but you have to break that down to me, because there's a multiple of things I like about the movie Breaking.
Mm-hmm.
There's multiple things I like about the movie Beat Street. And then there's things that I do not like about Breaking. I mean, one thing I like about Breaking, it brought pop locking out more. I don't know why they called it Breaking, for one, but because it was more hidden than anything in the movie. But it exposed the dance to another level, which I truly appreciate. You know, it broadcasted the dance. Boom, everybody look at this shit here. Look at this dance. But the storyline.
That's Hollywood, man. If Hollywood get involved, you got to give something up. You got to give.
The storyline was whack,
corny.
man.
No, it was corny.
And it affected OGs, because most pop lockers that I watched were gangsters.
Mm-hmm.
So they was like, what the fuck is this shit, homie? What is this? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I always said, I want to shoot a movie and I'm going to give it the true essence of how the shit really went down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the real deal. And this is not to take nothing away from Shrimp, or rest in peace, Shabba-Doo. Much love to Shabba-Doo and Shrimp. But that storyline.
Oh no, but like me kind of knowing something about the film industry, the music industry, and all that, you got to give to get. Like, they're not gonna just let you have something just super raw and just have it just like
Back then. But I bet you put out something corny like that out now, people are gonna be like, because things is open now. Mm-hmm. Reality is out, you know. Real TV ended up coming out and showing people the behind the scene. Things is raw now. Beat Street kept it real.
Well, let's spin the record back just a little bit. The whole little Ray Don Chong and Homeboy Lee's brother and that little romance thing, that was kind of...
It got corny, but far as them fools coming in there battling and they showing the DJ and all, man, that shit was real, man. I thought that was dope. You know, they went down into the substations and shit where the trains and battled. that shit is hard, homie. You know? So they both play. One is better than the other than some parts, and one is better than, you know, they neck and neck to me.
It's interesting that you said that because I never thought about it until you said it. Boogaloo Shrimp, he would bust, I think he busted a backspin or something or whatever, but it was really him popping and Shabba-Doo locking. Like, it really wasn't, it wasn't no upright, it wasn't no breaking.
Man, one thing about that movie, and I'll give Boogaloo Shrimp his props, he has the most classic, in my opinion, he has the most classic theme in the history of pop lock.
Tour de France.
With that broom in front of that liquor store.
Tour de France, yep.
There's not a pop locking scene that's more classic than that scene, man. You know, that was the money shot of that movie.
That was the Fred Astaire or whatever, dancing on the ceiling. The whole.
But my big homies was like, man, Shrimp wasn't no gangster. You know what I'm saying? Shabba-Doo's not a G, you know? And that's how Compton looks at it. Like, where the gang banging at? Where the shooting at? Where the killing at? You know? That's the real deal. Because this dance, homie, was for real for us. It stopped us from busting on each other and fighting each other. It was real, homie. Yeah. And the drug dealing. When the drug dealing came back, the pop locking died back out. Because that's who was doing it. The same ones that was selling drugs were the ones that was pop locking. The gangbangers and the drug dealers and all that. That dance saved a lot of lives, man, when it was in. But when it faded away and that drug dealing came back, because pop locking died back out like around 84, 85. It died out. And that's when the Nissan trucks and everybody started,
Ski
they
rack.
called balling with the beepers, and yeah, the dope game started coming back in.
Man.
And then 1988 hit, Eazy-E killed it.
Yeah.
You see how that worked? Yeah.
Yeah.
So when the real pop lockers, the gangsters, when they saw that movie, they was like, what the hell is this shit? I don't do none of this corny shit.
Hey, man, in order for the check to be cut, they had to embellish it, man. They had to add some of that. They had to sprinkle.
I don't think so.
Oh, you always got to,
I think
man.
if they would have told the truth, I think it would have been even bigger.
Nah.
It would have been even bigger. But see, and a lot of pop lockers are upset because we don't like for the dance to be made fun of. We don't like it to be viewed in a silly way. And that movie did that for us. A lot of people clown it and act stupid when it comes to pop locking because of that movie.
But that's just Hollywood, man.
You don't look at it from that perspective, huh?
Yeah. No,
you're right. And that's Hollywood. And
Yeah.
that's why now us OGs keep our mouth shut when them kind of directors and producers come around and want free game. No, because you're going to take our game, run with it, twist it up, lighten it up a little bit to make it kind of pretty because it's too hardcore. Take our idea and you're going to put it out there and mess our shit up. I'm in an interview.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
No, I get it. So, with that being said, there's the one side of Kool Boy is the pop lock and is the dancing, the historian and all that. So, how did you start boxing?
So, I went to a Crip school, but I grew up in a blood neighborhood. And I was always fighting. I was always getting picked on by the Crips because I was always wearing a lot of red. So when I got there in the 9th grade, I went to a school called Lusinger High School in Hawthorne.
I know where Lusinger is.
It was the Crip gangs there was Shotgun Crips from Gardena. It was Hoovers. It was a Tongan gang. They were Crips. Everybody was Crips, right? And here I am, fresh out of Compton, 9th grade, red hoodie on, you know what I'm saying? And luckily, I had an older cousin that was in the 12th grade. And he was on the football team and he didn't take no shit. Luckily, he had my back. He wouldn't let them get me. They'd try, but he had my back. So when he graduated, now I'm in the 10th grade, I gotta handle my own. You know what I'm saying? I gotta deal with it. But I'm older now. I got my own little squad now, you know, but I still have to fight for mine. But I apologize, man. What was your original question to this?
How old were you? How old were you? And then when did you start boxing?
Okay.
How did you get?
Well, okay, that's why I went into that. So I was fighting. I was fighting all the time. And then one day my cousin came home he went to the military and he came home for Christmas or something like that. And he was like, hey man, I heard you still was fighting at school. I said, yeah. And I acted tough. I was like, yeah, and I've been winning too, you know? So he said, let's go in the backyard. We go out in the backyard and he had these boxing gloves. He had started boxing in the Army. He threw a pair at me. I'm struggling to put them on. He put his on. He said, come on, let's get out. We start boxing. I'm thinking I'm doing something, right? Not knowing he's letting me get the best of him. He said, come on, let's go another round. I said, okay. And he started tagging me and I'm swinging wild and I couldn't hit him and I couldn't understand how he could hit me and I couldn't hit him because I didn't understand footwork. I didn't understand body positioning. I didn't understand how to counter punch, none of that shit at the time. So I would swing at him. He knew how to move, bam, hit me and get out the way. And I didn't understand how to do that. He knew how to turn and position himself to be on the side of me and all that. And I'm like, how the hell is he doing this? So when we were done, he said, look, man, I want you to go on 108th and Broadway and ask for this trainer named Blue, South Central LA. And I did. And that's how I got started boxing. So I give my cousin, man, my big relative, Stennis Floyd, all the props, man, on getting me started boxing.
I'm gonna spin it back 1 second real quick. So I came up in the South Bay. Like our family lived in Compton till I was about 7 years old. Then we moved to Harbor City. Being in Harbor City, very multi racial. You know what I'm saying? We had a lot of Hispanic people, we had a lot of Asian people, we had a lot of Black people, we had Samoans, we had, white. It was just like everything was just kind of like mixed up. And it was interesting because the Samoans are the first people that I saw that were like, even if they weren't blood relatives, Samoans knew how to just stick together. Like it was, different than anything I'd ever seen. You know what I'm saying? It was like, we family. And it's like, you wasn't going to mess with none of them. Like, dude, if you mess with one, you mess with all. They as sweet can be. 6'5", 300 pounds, sweet as sweet can be. But on a dime, they could snap and they could just be something totally different, man. A real problem. So
they're good people.
Oh, great people. Yeah, great people. Matter of fact, Carson at one point had one of the largest concentrations of Samoan people in Southern California.
Yeah. And Compton. Compton had a whole project called the neighborhood gang was called Park Village, but they were called the Wilmington Arms. It's a little project, and that's what in Compton. That's where all the Samoans were.
Okay. Did you ever know any of the cats from the Booyah tribe?
Yeah. Yeah, man. Shout out to Cobra. Boom. Cobra be hitting, man.
So how did you end up getting introduced to them?
I was meeting them individually. Gangsta Red, man. Rest in peace. I danced for a rapper named Sugar Free. I'm Sugar Free's dancer. Okay. And sometimes we'll get booked, and sometimes they'll be booked with us on the same card. Okay. And so we all be backstage chopping it up, kicking it and talking, man.
So what other rappers have you danced for in videos that you've been involved in?
Oh man, I can name you the longest list in the world when it comes to dancing in videos. I'm in Kendrick Lamar's video in the King Kunta. I'm in Sugar Free's video, man, the Sugar Cane, the Hole in My Heart video. I'm with Big Y in them in the Pyro Love video. I'm just in so many different videos. I'm in rock and roll videos, man. The Deftones. I don't know if you ever heard of the Deftones or not.
Come on, man. Deftones got a belching beaver. I want to say they got a belching beaver beer, but so tell me this though. What was the process of you hooking up with Kendrick's folks, and how did that come to be?
Well, that's a Compton thing. Kendrick comes from my side of the neighborhood in Compton, Rosecrans Central. So Kendrick knows me as being an OG Compton pop locker. And when he was filming King Kunta, and it's a deep story behind that, homie, that touches my heart. Kendrick asked one of my homeboys from my neighborhood, G Weed, because I'm from Campanella Park.
Oh, okay.
He called G Weed and T-Tone. They contacted me and said, hey man, Kendrick personally is asking for you to be in the video, and we're shooting it right here in the hood. So he reached out, and I came down and I got down. So you'll see me in the King Kunta. I come out.
No, I've seen you. It's so funny. It was absent of my mind until you said it.
Now, what's dope about that video, that song is the bass line from DJ Quick producing a song called Butt Naked for my little homeboy, Mossberg.
Okay.
Mossberg is from Campanella. That's my little homie who I was originally supposed to start dancing for, but he got killed. And that's how I ended up dancing for Sugar Free. Sugar Free and Mossberg was on the same record label.
Mossberg came by the house one time. He came by the house with one of my other homies, homeboy Jim C. And they was hanging out. And he came by, and this was like when he was first starting to sizzle. And it was like when
Jim C.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And when he was
Jimmy Chris.
That might be his name. I'll talk to you, and I'll ask him what his real
name. Is he dark skinned and skinny?
Yep.
that's who I was talking to. That's T-Tone. That's who called me to be in the Kendrick Lamar video.
Okay. He's staying in Long Beach now, though. Who I'm talking about staying Long?
I don't know where T-Tone lives. I know he just got married like a year or two ago.
Okay.
Like a year ago.
I'll figure it out. But Mossberger came by the house, and he was like, yo, man, he about to be on. You know what I'm saying? Everybody is hyped. You know what I'm saying? He Compton, woo, 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 woo. But I was kind of tripping because my boy was telling me how hard he was and how he was about to be on, like in a major way, but he was still hanging out. And, you know, my mind always thought in a way of like, man, if you're about to get it popping, you need to just break away from but that's just unrealistic. Like, you can't take somebody who's never done anything different and they're about to be like, he was very talented, because like my homeboy that brought him by, he put the 2 on the 10 on him. He was like, yo, this the homie Mossberg, dude. He about to take it over. Like, it's about to be a wrap. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, he was a cool dude, but I could tell that he still had the element on him. You know what I'm saying? And it was see, the way my mind works is kind of like, well, okay, if you're about to get put on, you move up out the hood, you move to the valley, you get a handler, you get somebody to keep you up there. You know what I'm saying? You stay away from all this. But see, before Mossberg, we really hadn't seen anything crazy go down with like a really up and coming rapper. Like the way that Mossberg was presented to me was really like he was going to be the next it. Like he wasn't introduced as like, okay, this is Mossberg, he's a rapper, or this is Mossberg and he raps. Like, no, he about to come into it and he about to take it over, shut it down. So rest in peace, Mossberg. You know what I'm saying?
You're right, homie. He was. He was motivated to do it. I remember the days where he was whack. I watched him improve. I watched him work night after night, night after night. Matter of fact, sometimes he would come over to my pad and sit in my garage, and we would write raps together. This was my little homie. We was close, man. It still breaks my heart because he was gonna be the next. He was on Ice Cube's bumper, man. Mm-hmm. He was on Cube's bumper. He was like, I'm the Don Mega. You know, he was coming after people, man. It's just unfortunate that, you know, we don't know when, just like Nipsey, man, we don't know when to bounce. You got to get up out of there. Yeah. You know, I had some negative things happen to me in my neighborhood as well. And I got up out of there, man. It's time to go. When you reach a certain level, your own homeboys get jealous of you. People right next to you, and you're not jealous of them, so you're kind of blind behind it. You know, you're being cool with them, but they're smiling in your face. I mean, and then turning around doing something shady behind your back. So
I know that well.
Yeah,
I know that. It's not something that's only you know what I'm saying, only known to where you came from, man. Fools is, that's just what it is. So if you could have your perfect dream versus, it could be rapper against funk group, it could be someone who's dead against someone who's alive, what would your perfect versus be?
Muhammad Ali versus Mike Tyson.
And then he took it to boxing. Hey, I'm gonna tell you the coldest boxer I've ever seen on footage. My business partner, he founded the network we on, Farside TV. He so at our warehouse, half of it is like his studio, half of it is like the screen printing and all that kind of stuff. And so after we put in about like 6 hours worth of work, then either I come over to his side, he come over to my side, and then we would like look on YouTube and see stuff or whatever. And he introduced me to Aaron Pryor. And that was the and why I gravitated to Aaron Pryor. He reminded me of that character that Jamie Foxx would do as a boxer. And then once you hear ding, he just, you know what I'm saying? Once you hear the bell go off, he coming out, and it's ridiculous. Like Aaron Pryor's like the dopest boxer. And I'm not saying so much because of his technique, but it's just like once the bell went off, dude, he was like, but you know what? You mentioning Mike Tyson was the same way. Once that bell, the young Mike Tyson, once that bell went off, he was like you took the muzzle off a pit bull, man, and it was on.
Yeah, him and Muhammad Ali, of course, were two different decades, but Muhammad Ali would have got him. Ali would have got him.
Ali was fast.
Greatest boxer ever. He was fast and he was smart, though. The best boxer is the smartest boxer.
Mm-hmm.
He created the rope-a-dope, you know.
The price, though, man. The price. He paid a heavy price.
Yeah.
He paid it, but you know, he was, you know, Muhammad Ali was good because he gave the example of a black man that really didn't bow down like that. He was very skilled in his craft, but he was articulate. He could speak. And he could communicate with people. Like, and I'm sure he probably had some kind of media.
Did you know he had a literacy problem? He couldn't read or write.
What?
Just like R. Kelly. Yeah. No one knew that because of how brilliant, how creative he was with rhyming, and you know, he can announce big words, and he was very prolific. So
that's amazing, man. That's definitely amazing.
Yeah, but he stood his ground, man. He is the epitome of having integrity.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So,
what are your 3 top songs to dance to?
No such thing.
Oh, you got it. 3. What is the one?
I'll name some songs for you, man, but top 3. Because sometimes some songs move me in a different way than other songs on different days. I love Pull by One Way.
Okay.
And what's cool about that crew, man, is I got to meet Al Hudson, the leader of that group. But first you have to push it in, then you pull it out. Push, out, in. Go ahead, let your body. That's a cold jam. When that come on, homie, I'm taking anybody out. I don't care who it is. There's some cold jams out there, man. I love And the Beat Goes On by Orbit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's fast paced, and sometimes I like to bust real fast. Mm-hmm. And the beat goes on. Yeah, I love busting to that song, man. Ooh-wee.
And then what's the one that's gonna make you bust a U-turn? If you see some fools out hanging in the parking lot, whatever, you hear them bumping it, you gotta bust a U-turn and turn your whole situation back to going battle.
Hands down, man, Zap got it on lock. Anything by Zap. If you bump Heartbreaker, if you bump Dance Floor, Zap, man, it's just something about that sound that came out, that boom, put it up, boom, boom, boom. I mean, man, I can bump that in my low rider. I can pop lock to it. I can just party at home to that. That Zap is off the chain, huh? Roger Troutman was on a whole nother level.
Yeah. You know, the crazy thing about Roger Troutman, I've seen a lot of interviews and they're like, he didn't do drugs, he didn't do anything. He was just like a creative savant. Like he was just like, they were like, he was just like that smart. Like he was beyond making music. He's a very smart cat. You know what I'm saying?
Hey man, you want to know something?
Mm.
You know the song More Bounce?
Mm-hmm.
You want to know how it was created?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you know Anthony A.K. King, the original king of pop, right?
Yeah.
He's also a musician. He can sing. He's related to J. King from the group called Club Nouveau. Look at all these rumors.
Oh yeah,
J.
yeah.
King
No,
and
no,
Anthony King, J. King and Anthony King are first cousins. So Anthony King is also in the music business. He can sing, he can play the piano, everything, right? Well, anyway, Anthony A.K. King and Roger Troutman were homies.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony King used to call Roger Troutman. Well, one day he called him while Roger Troutman was making music.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony King called Roger Troutman complaining about some money situation with the record label, right?
Mm-hmm.
Roger Troutman was like, man, you over there talking that shit and you got advancements and this and that. And I'm writing checks and they keep bouncing and bouncing and bouncing. And I'm over here writing this song and I'm stuck. Only thing I can think of is more bounce, more bounce, more bounce. That's all. And that's AK was on the phone with him while Roger Troutman was writing that song. And that's how the song came up because he kept writing checks that were bouncing. So all he can, and he came to a mind blockage. He couldn't go any further. All he could think of was more bounce. So he put to the ounce.
That's
more
a good one.
Bounce. And that's all you hear through the whole song.
Yeah.
It's not because he was being creative. It was because he couldn't think of nothing else to fucking write. So that's all you hear in that song.
That's dope. That's
true
dope.
Story. Don't believe me? Interview Anthony A.K. King next after me, my big homie.
Oh man, we're gonna have to pull him.
I'll set it up for you.
Oh, we got that. So, what do you miss most about before pandemic times?
There was a point in time, man, where there was no fear.
Mm-hmm.
Fear makes you uncomfortable. So we didn't have to worry about, man, should I go to the movies or not go to the movies? Should I go to this party or not go to the party? If we did have a fear, it was for something totally different. Are them fools gonna be shooting at the party? I'll keep my ass at home. But it wasn't because of damn, I could wake up the next morning and not be able to fucking breathe, you know, and die in a week.
Yeah.
So the ability to be free and go wherever and whenever around large groups of people. I got a homeboy, man. He went to the Raider game. Came home. Woke up the next morning not feeling well. Went to the hospital. Ended up in a coma.
Yeah.
And then died.
Wow.
So, you know, now we're in a world where we have to tiptoe, skeptical, second guess, should I go or should I not go? Change the time when I'm going to the grocery store. When I go to the grocery store, it's not as many people as this time. Avoiding large groups if possible.
Mm-hmm.
Sucks.
Yeah.
So that's what I miss most about it, man, being more free.
So with that being said, where do you see the progression of live social interaction in the next 2 years? Like now that we've gone through what was quote unquote the worst of it, where do you see things going like in the next 2 years?
Where do we see things going far as what?
As far as the progression of social interaction. So like people starting to come out more or interact more or whatever.
I'm not able to predict that, man, because in this world today, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what direction we're going in. And until everybody realizes we're in a spiritual warfare, we're actually losing a battle. Man, the traditional war is over. Dropping bombs and going out to sea or air dog fights in the air, all that shit it's a wrap. The traditional war is done. This is the way we war now.
Dang.
Strands of pandemic. We getting our ass kicked right now.
Yeah.
The vaccine ain't shit. It's not working. I'm not against the vaccination, but it just don't work. I wish they did. I wish it did work. Then we'd be cool.
Yeah.
I know people, man, my homegirl told me my mom got vaccinated and woke up the next day and was blind. It's affecting people differently, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. The thing I do is I'm teaching myself to not worry
Mm-hmm.
and still continue to live my life. This shit's gonna get on us. It's gonna get on everybody. Everybody's gonna get it. Boost your immune system. It's the best thing you can do. Wearing a mask and all that shit, the shit's still gonna get on us, man.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep pop locking, keep boxing, and if it get me, it get me.
That's right. Well, no, man, with that being said, we're gonna have to come back and I just feel like we just did not touch on a whole lot. We touched on a lot, but it was a whole lot we didn't go so far, we didn't go too far into the boxing thing. But we folks now. So I'm gonna hit you up, man. I appreciate your time. I appreciate the history lesson. You know what I'm saying? You breaking it down for us. So with that being said, this is Splendid Radio on